Hello, friends. Ooh la la. I have got some chic handmade cards to share with you today using the Let's Go Shopping stamp set with the Les Shop designer series paper. I think that you are going to love these like fun chic cards. Beautiful. You can make all these different buildings, bookstore, bakery, whatever you want. Really cool stuff. So I'm excited to share them with you. Uh, Before I get started, a big welcome to everyone who is watching live. If you are here and watching live, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you've been to Paris or France. And if you're watching the replay, a special welcome to you as well. You can also leave me a comment. Let me know if you have been to France. And I just, I appreciate that. Let me know that you're here because I love to know that people are watching the replay later as well. And if this is your first time here, special welcome to you. I am Heidi with Onigo Stamping, and I provide card making tips, tricks, and inspiration to help wannabe artists like you create beautiful handmade cards and gifts and things that are really going to wow your friends and family. They are going to think you are like amazingly creative with some of these really easy cards that I share with you. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you always know when I'm going live. All right, let's jump into these cards. Let's take a look at the designer series paper and the stamp set. I'm going to make my workstation a little bit bigger, so hopefully you can see a little better. I never know, right? Like, does it help? Does it not help? Who knows? All right, so here we go. Here is the stamp set. Isn't this cute? Says, good luck. You are such a treat. Bakery, cafe, hello, books. Let's get together. Happy birthday. Wish you were here. And then there's shelves with like pies and pastries. There's a plant. There's a sign. There's a cafe table, so you can make a cafe. There's book shelves, so you can make a bookstore, which is what we're going to do today. And then just like all this other great stuff too. So really, really cool stuff. We're going to go ahead and start using this. I'm going to set that aside. Here is the designer series paper. Now, one side has all these really fun designs. It is a 12 by 12 set of paper, but I've already cut into a bunch of it. But look at this one. This one I really love. I have one of my extra sample cards I'm going to show you at the end uses that paper. So let me flip this over because on the back, there's a whole bunch of buildings and things. So we have some sheets with just like books and art supplies and flowers. We have these cool sheets with different buildings on them that you could cut out. Now, I don't think I've tried the dies with different ones, and I don't think any of the dies cut out any of these big shops, but you could, cut them out yourself. And then there's this paper with little shops on it. There's a paper with different foods. You have ramen and some ice cream and some bread. You have another one with like food stores on it. And then another one with art and clothing and art and clothing. And I think there might be bookstores on this one someplace too. So really fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and set the paper aside because I've already cut the pieces that we need. So we're going to start by doing a little bit of stamping. Let me find a piece of cardstock here. Here we go. So we're going to start by stamping one of the buildings. And this is kind of a builder building. Right, so we're going to stamp this in Tuxedo Black Memento because we are going to be coloring it with our Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to start by stamping the downstairs of the building. There we go. And I want to add some shelves. I want to add some bookshelves to my front window. So this little bookshelf stamp. And I'm just going to put that in there. And then I want to add the word books on here. Let's see if I can find it. So we know it's a bookstore. And then we need a second half to our building. We're going to stamp a top half. Now these are going to cut out separately with the dies. So I'm not going to worry about putting them together. I'm just going to stamp them separately. And then I want a couple of plants. Or just a plant. And I want one of the little signs to put in the window or to put on the street, I should say, not in the window. I can't even talk today. All right, there we go. So now I am pre-recording this. Okay, before I go into that, I'm going to start coloring these. I'm going to use some Petal Pink and Calypso Coral so it will match our designer series paper. So, all right, so we're going to just start with the light Petal Pink. Now, if you've been watching me all the way through June, you'll know that I'm not actually live, even though it might look like I'm live, like the video goes live like it would if I was live. But I actually recorded this ahead of time. And actually, as this video is actually playing, I'm actually in France. I said actually a lot there. Anyway, I am in France, which is exciting. Like for me to think here as I record this video, that when you see the video, I will be in France. So much fun. If you haven't been following me over on Instagram, make sure you go check me out over there because I've been sharing lots of vacation stuff. All right, so we're just coloring this all with the light Calypso Coral. There is quite a bit of coloring to color this whole little building in, so we have a lot of time to sit here and chit chat. I'm going to bring in some dark Calypso Coral and add in some shadowy areas. Oh, not Calypso Coral, Petal Pink. Wow, I can't even talk. I'm already getting messed up on my colors. Let me come in and color under the windows and in the top corners. And we'll go back over it a little bit with the light. I think there's like one book I want to color with the Petal Pink. And this bottom edge doesn't really matter because that's going to get kind of cut off and stuff. So there we go. We're going to color this book front in Petal Pink. All right, so I'm going to put my Petal Pink ones away, and I'm going to pull out my Calypso Coral because I am going to be using Calypso Coral today. So I'm going to start with the light, and we're going to do some trim work. I love buildings like this. Like these ones are so cute. Now, obviously, these look like they're, well, I don't know. These kind of look like the buildings in my downtown. I mean, they look like the buildings in France too, but they looked at like the buildings in my little downtown, right? With all the trim work and stuff. And I love it when they have remodeled those buildings and they're all painted nicely. So pretty. So I'm coloring some of it with the light. We're not going to do a lot of shading on this. We're just going to use the light and the dark to create two different tones for this trim work. So I'm coloring the light. I'm going to color around this window with the light too. And I am doing such a poor job coloring today. I'm going outside the lines all over the place. It's because I try to hurry. Like I try to hurry when y'all are watching me because I figure you must be getting a little tired of watching me color. So I try to go fast and then I color outside the lines. But that's okay. All right, and then I'm going to color in the pot for my little bush. I don't know what this is. I'm surprised that there isn't a little flower stamp in this set that you could add like little flowers or something to this. I'm surprised that there's not a way to make this into like a flower shop. That would have been really cute. All right, I'm going to come in with the dark Calypso Coral, and I'm going to do this center line in the trim. On both the top and the bottom. Or I should say the bottom and the top. That's the order I'm going in. Trying to stay in the line. I'm going to add this to the corners on this book. And then we're going to come in here and do a little bit of shading on our pot. So come in under the leaves and down the sides and at the bottom. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to color this out. So most of it, I'm not doing a lot of shading, but on this little flower pot, I am. So I'm going to go ahead and color over it with the light Calypso coral to kind of blend that together. All right, I'm gonna put those away. I'm gonna pull out some Balmy Blue. That's another one of the colors in the designer series paper, and we're gonna use this. So that has some Balmy Blue in it. So I'm gonna pull out the Balmy Blue, and we're gonna do a little bit of coloring in Balmy Blue. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I want to do the windows. Let me show you how I'm gonna do the windows. Because I like to have the windows have a little bit of color. So I'm grabbing the light Pool Party, and I'm just gonna kind of scribble in the center. And then I'm going to take my color lifter and just kind of blend that out a little bit. Because we want it to be like really, really light, right? So I could probably even get more scribbly because I kind of like that scribbly look. So we're going to do that here on this door. We're going to pretend this is a window here. I don't know if it is or not, but I like to think of it as a window. So that's what I'm doing. You could do something else. What's really cool is, so we're going to cut this out with the dies, and the dies have dies that you could cut out like all the windows and doors if you wanted to make it separate pieces, right? So I haven't done that, but it does look really cool. A lot of different things you could do. So I'm just coloring in that front window and going over that with my color lifter as well, and trying not to get, I should have done this before I did the trim, so I wouldn't get that color lifter into that Calypso coral, because that's not what I really want to do. That'll make them bleed together. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to grab my Balmy Blue, and we're going to do some trim in Balmy Blue. So I'm going to start with the light. I'm going to color my door. Color this all in the light Balmy Blue. We have a very colorful building. I like colorful buildings. All right, we're going to color some of these books too. Actually, I'm going to pull out the skinny tip. I should have done that. Oh. Yeah, I talk to myself while I'm doing this. And I'm going to color around the outside of the sign with the light. So there we go. And now I'm going to grab the dark, and we're going to do some shading on the door. It's kind of coming into the bottom of the door, maybe the top corners. And then I'm going to come in here and color some more books in with the dark. And then I'm going to color on like the back side of the sign. There we go. I'm going to grab my light and just go over these bits on the door again. Oh, I forgot what else I needed to do with the dark. We'll do that. It's all good. We got to do the trim at the top of the buildings. So there we go. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. I hope you are enjoying this little coloring chit chat. So I'm just coloring this. I'm not being too fussy about all those little blips and blobs. I found that it really doesn't matter. I can when they're a little bigger, but if I just kind of go down, it's okay. It will work. So we're just coloring in all this little, I don't know, dental work. Is that what it is? The details at the top. All right. Did that. Let's grab a dark Daffodil Delight just to add in a little bit more color on some of these books. Just add in some daffodil on some books. just for variation. There we go. And then I want to grab my Granny Apple Green. We're going to do the leaves here, our little bush, whatever it is, in some Granny Apple. So just starting with the light and going in there. Then I'm going to come in with the dark and do some shading. Come along the bottom here. Add some dark in there. I'm going to do each one of these little leaves that they've kind of, I don't know, they've drawn out on there. And maybe some up here. There we go. I'm not going to blend that too much because I want it to look kind of varied. Let me hold this up so you can see a little bit better. So there we go. Let me see. Gray granite. That's what else we need. I think this is the last color. All right. Let me grab my gray granite. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to just go over the writing on the signs with the gray granite. You wouldn't have to, but I just feel like it gives it a little bit more dimension. And then I'm going to color the mail slot and the steps. And I'm going to come in with the dark and add some shading on here. I'm going to do this under this book right here. I don't know, maybe that's another book, but all right. So there we go. I think we got our bookstore pretty well done. You know what? I'm going to sign here too. There we go. All right, so let's cut these out. Now we can start doing the cutting, right? Let me grab my cutting plate. So I'm going to use my cut and emboss machine. So I'm grabbing my number 1, number 2, and then my number 3 cutting plate. And where are my dies? Let's go shopping dies. There's 18 dies in this set. Check this out. Lots of cool stuff in there. There's 2 plant pots, which is great. There's a bench and a light pole that I'm not using on this card, but I used on one of the sample cards I'm going to share. There's also like plants and stuff. So, but I want the top of the building and the bottom of the building and one of the plants and the little sandwich board. So, and we'll line these up. I'm going to use some washi to hold them in place. So get them nice and lined up. Put some washi on there. I stamped them kind of far apart so that I could fit the dies on here all at once. So it just has to go through my machine once. And then our little plant. And the sandwich board. I think I need a new piece of washi for the sandwich board. Stampin' Up's going to have to bring back washi tape soon because I'm starting to run out of all my retired washi tapes. All right, so there we go. Oh, that wasn't in camera. I'm sorry. All right, so I have all those pieces on there. I'm going to run this through my cut and emboss machine. Oh, it started. Ow. Ooh. I just whacked my finger on a clear pin that I have here. It was kind of painful. All right, let's see how we did. We'll move this up so you can see better. All right. So here's the top of our building. And the bottom of our building. And then our little plant. And our little sandwich board. And now we can start putting this together. Now, I'm not going to put any sort of sentiment on this card. You could put one of the sentiments on it. You could put the sentiment on the inside of it if you wanted. But I kind of decided, let's maybe just make this a little note card, right? Like sometimes you just want to send a just because card and you don't even want a sentiment on it. You just want to write some notes in it. So that's what I'm going with on this one. All right, let me pull out the cardstock that I have. So I have a piece of Calypso Coral. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. We're going to make a standing up card today. So the card front is still 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Just making it go the other direction today. I'm going to give this a good squeeze with my bone folder. All right. And then I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. This is, I think, 3 1/2 by 3 1/4. I have another piece of Designer Series paper. This is 3 1/2 by 1 1/2. I have a 1/4 inch strip. We're going to cut that off. And then I have a piece of Balmy Blue that is 3 3/4. Well, that can't be right. Oh, no. Okay. It is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. I was like, it can't be 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. That just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to start with this top piece. And I'm going to adhere it on with just some green glue, some multi-purpose glue. Just need a little bit. You don't want it gushing out the sides. So we'll put this on the top. Zoop, zoop, zoop. There we go. And then I'm going to bring this down. This piece we're going to put at the bottom. My glue bottle is starting to run out. So this is going to go down here. And it's going to overlap just a little bit, and that's okay. And then we're going to put this piece on. This piece of, which is not in the picture, this piece of Calypso Coral. And I'm just going to put it at the very top of the stripe pattern. So just right in there. And then I'll take my little snips and we'll just slide those in there and snip that off. So there we go. Now this is going to go on my card front. I'm going to go ahead and just put this flat. And then we'll get out the dimensionals and we'll start putting some dimension on this card. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love this paper. It's just so pretty. I love the designs. All right, so let me grab my dimensionals. We're going to start with the bottom of the building. Now, when I put the dimensionals on this, I'm not going to put them all the way to the top because we're going to slide the top half of the building kind of underneath it once we've put it on. And so I just slid those down from the top a little bit so there's space for that. Pull those out. And this, I'm just going to center it and put it just below where that Calypso Coral cardstock is. There we go. And then the top half of the building, I'm actually going to put it flat. So the bottom half is going to stick out a little bit more than the top half. And this is where I was saying we're just going to come in and slide this under just a little bit and try to line it up straight. There we go. And then I want to put my plant on. I'm going to use a couple of little dimensionals on the plant. Now, I have more samples for you. We're almost done with this card, but don't go anyplace because I have more samples for you. So I put a couple of minis on there. And I left one off over here because that's going to overlap the side of our building. Just like that. And then the sandwich board, I'm just going to put them on the bottom because the top of the sandwich board is going to overlap the building and the plant. So, and you can come in, we'll come in, we'll put a little bit of adhesive on the top of it. Just a little tiny bit. So this I'm just going to put right here. Kind of, just like that, just to kind of layer up the front a little bit. So there's that card. What do you think? So fun. So much fun. A little bit of coloring on there, but not too bad, right? I hope you think it's not too bad. So there we go. Let me show you my other sample cards that I have for you. So here's another really simple one using that same Calypso Coral. And I just made 3 different plants. I cut out one of the die cut pieces, right? One of the dies cuts this out and stamp the happy birthday. And then on the background here, I don't know if you can see it, but I used the new distressed brick. I don't know what it's called. Design, the embossing folder on the back there. So it just kind of gives it a little bit more texture. Very simple card. And then this one, I love this one. You guys are going to like this. So this uses some of those other dies, and it uses that blue paper that I just love with the buildings on it. And then I cut out the bench and the lamppost, and I cut out a piece of balmy blue. This is cut with the nested shapes. No, the nested essentials dies. There's a stamp that says "Wish you were here," but it's like, it wasn't the right direction. Let me show you. So I don't know if you can see that, but it like went this way, right? It wasn't going to fit how I wanted it to fit. So I stamped it on a piece of white, and then I cut it all apart so it would go right on there. And then again, I use that distressed, whatever it's called, the brick one that's in the annual catalog. So there we go. Isn't that fun? Ah, so much fun. So much fun. I love it. I just love these. Love this little set of stamps. So, all right, those are my cards for today. Thank you all for joining me. I will be back next week, Tuesday. Next week, Tuesday, it is going to be another Stamp With Me Tuesday. And I think, do I have my notes here? It is. It's a technique day. So we're going to be doing a fun technique next week. Watch for the list of supplies that you need on Sunday or Monday. I'm going to post it for you over in the Facebook group. Or once you see the video show up on YouTube, in the description to that video will be the supplies that you need. So gather those supplies and then join me Tuesday night, and we're going to do a fun technique together. Can't wait to see you. Have a great weekend.